My last question. So the show is called Love Music More, and the segment is called Love Music Why. You're already talking about it, but this is just a moment to talk about why you love music itself. Why it pushed you through all of these, trials and tribulations. You're still doing it, still loving it.
So it fell in love with a record called Hey Paula, which was an insignificant pop single in 1963. That was number one on the radio. I didn't understand why it was number one, but it was number one for 6 weeks. And I didn't understand what the chart was, what the survey was. I was 10 years old listening to the radio. I was homesick from school. I became obsessed with charts. Like, why does the chart change, but this song is still number one? I didn't know. I asked my mom. She didn't know. She looked at me like I had two heads. The addiction to that song changed my life. And that was in February of 63. And then, of course, the Beatles hit 1 year later. And that, as we all say, guys my age who saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, it's the cliche of cliches, isn't it? I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. I wanted to be in a rock band. That's what happened. But it was my love of pop music. So I'm much more of a pop guy than I am anything else. I mean, I'm a blues guitar player at heart, and a blues fan and a pop fan. And metal then comes third of that line. That's what addicted me to it. And look, I don't care if it's me being addicted to pop music or a 10-year-old kid watching a Olympic gold medal skier and going, I want to do that. I can't tell you how many actresses, I went to see Annie when I was 8 and went to Broadway and said to my mom, that's what I want to do. And then they kill themselves to become Broadway stars. One real short story. I was doing a motivational speaking weekend with many professionals, and there was only one other performer who had a story to tell. And she was the longest running Christine in Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. And so I did my whole thing on a Friday, and she closed it on a Saturday. And she's telling her whole story that she was 8 years old and went to see Annie, my mom. And then she took dance and singing. And she finally got in, she killed herself and then finally got onto the road show of Phantom, always wanting the big break. When is that big break coming? It was very much like a Twisted Sister story. Setback. Finally gets a big break, gets the audition, fails the audition. Crushed. Goes back on the road. Can't believe it. This is probably the end of my life, because if I'm not good enough for this, it's not going to happen. Gets another shot at it. Blows it. At this point, it's the end. She gets one more shot. And she nails it. She gets the gig. For 10 years. She's the longest running Christine on Broadway. Okay? Now, she's telling the story. She's playing videos. She's showing her photos. Incredible story, right? At the end of it, I walk up to her and I say to her, wow. I said, I hadn't really heard another story kind of like mine. It's amazing. When are you doing your next show? And she says, if I never sing another song on Broadway, you couldn't pay me enough to do it. And I realized that's how sometimes it finally happens, So when people say to me, it's Twisted getting back together again, I say, we've done it thousands. I've done it thousands. If it happens, it happens. But I'm not sitting there playing air guitar in front of a mirror anymore. I'm too busy promoting my website, promoting my podcast, which is the JJ French Connection on Spotify, too busy promoting my book, which is called Twisted Business, which is really a great business book. You can get it on Amazon. And I do motivational speaking. And if you want to hire me, you go to jjfrench.com and you can fill out a form and hire me. And I do motivational and keynote speeches for corporations now, in which I tell the story. Yes. Because the story is a universal story of business success. It's not just a music. And I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate you coming on, JJ.
You asked great questions, by the way.
You.
You really did ask really good questions.
I really appreciate that. I really do care. And half of this podcast just for me. I'm trying to make it as a producer, engineer, musician myself, and hearing these stories direct from the source and being able to interface with that. I can't tell you the amount of motivation and excitement that cultivates in myself that I'm going to bring into my weekend, where I'm going to work too hard and I'm going to lose sleep because I'm going to be having dreams of recording. This is what validates that. That's what pours the fuel back on that fire and keeps it going. So I really appreciate you.
To that point, the fact that I was able to go to the Fillmore East every weekend to see my heroes, whether it was Jimmy Page or Jimi Hendrix or Jeff Beck or Jerry Garcia or Muddy Waters or Johnny Winter or B.B. King or Alvin Lee, you go to them every night. You come home at 3 a.m, you put a guitar and stand in front of a mirror and go, today I'm Jerry. Today I'm Alvin Lee. Today I'm Dwayne Allman. Today I'm Muddy Waters. That's what I had.
Yeah.
You don't have that anymore. You can't do that for a musician, but you can do this by having these podcasts, right? It's this reaffirmation that the road you're on is the right road to be on. And it's the passion. Remember, passion is the fuel when you don't have money. It really is. You have to be so passionate and you have to believe so much. And apparently you do. So good luck to you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining.
Take care.